When most people think about the glory of God, they imagine blazing brightness, a shining throne, radiance so strong that no human eye can withstand it. And yes, the Bible tells us that God dwells in unapproachable light, 1 Timothy 6:16. But here's the mystery. The glory of God is not always revealed in light. Very often it's hidden in darkness. Let's go back to Mount Sinai. When God descended to meet Israel, you would think the sky should have been filled with light. Instead, the mountain was wrapped in smoke, fire, thunder, and thick darkness. Exodus 20:21. The people were terrified and stood far away. But Moses did something unusual. He entered into the thick darkness where God was. Isn't that strange? The God of light chose to dwell in shadows. Darkness became his dwelling place. Psalm 18 describes it even more vividly. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. But why? Why would the God who created light, the one who said, "Let there be light," choose to cover himself in darkness? The answer is both simple and profound. Mercy. God's glory is too intense, too holy, too overwhelming for human beings to survive if it were fully revealed. So the darkness becomes a veil of compassion, a covering that allows his people to draw near without being consumed. In other words, the darkness is not his absence, it's his protection. And we see this pattern again and again. Think about Solomon dedicating the temple. After the Ark of the Covenant was placed inside the most holy place, the Bible says a cloud filled the house of the Lord, so much that the priests could not even stand to minister. And Solomon declared, "The Lord said he would dwell in thick darkness." 1 Kings 8:12. Once again, darkness wasn't a sign of judgment, it was a sign of presence. But perhaps the greatest revelation of this strange glory happened at the cross. At noon, in the middle of the day, darkness fell over the whole land for 3 hours. Luke 23:44-45. At the very moment when the Son of God bore the sins of the world, creation itself dimmed its lights. The glory of God's greatest act, redemption, was hidden beneath a curtain of blackness, and yet in that darkness, salvation was being accomplished. This is the paradox of God's glory. Sometimes it shines so bright it blinds. Other times it hides in the shadows, inviting only the faithful to see. You see, we often think that darkness in our lives means the absence of God. When things get confusing, when the future looks unclear, when prayers seem unanswered, we assume God has stepped away. But the Bible paints a different picture. Sometimes the thick darkness is exactly where God is. Moses entered it, Solomon proclaimed it, David sang about it, and Jesus endured it. So maybe the question isn't, where is God when everything feels dark? Maybe the better question is, am I willing to step into the darkness where God's hidden glory dwells? Because here's the truth. Darkness can be a covering of mercy. Darkness can be a place of encounter. Darkness can even be the backdrop of redemption. The strange glory of God isn't just about shining light. It's about the mystery of his presence concealed in the shadows. So the next time you find yourself in a dark season of life, don't only look for the light at the end. Stop, breathe, and realize you may already be standing in the secret place of God's glory.